This is where I like to start much of my days. I love to get up a little bit earlier in the morning, perhaps than what Melanie does. And I like to come into this room right here and just spend the beginning part of my day. This room faces the east, and so I get to see the sunrise, and it's just a nice spot where I can sit and be quiet and listen. Because here's the thing, a lot of my job requires talking. I mean, much of what I do, I have to talk. I have to lead meetings, I have to preach sermons, I have to teach, I have to do a lot of talking in my life. And the problem is, if I don't do the other part of my life, which is listening, I won't really know what to say. Because if I don't listen to God, I won't know what God needs me to say. And if I don't listen to somebody else, perhaps who's come in with an issue that they're facing, or who asked me a question about something going on at the church, if I don't listen closely, I won't know what to say to them. And so listening is probably even more important than talking, because if I'm not listening, I'm clueless as to how to respond. Just recently, I ran across a proverb, and it was a wonderful proverb, and it was in a devotional that I was using to begin my day, and I thought, yeah, that is what it's about. It says this, it's Proverbs 17, 27 and 28. The one who has knowledge uses words with restraint, and whoever has understanding is even-tempered. Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discern if they hold their tongue. What a cool proverb, and an important one for perhaps us pastors to hear. The one who has knowledge uses words with restraint. You know, that really is an important thing for all of us to learn. I know it was wrongly quoted by a quote from Francis of Assisi, but it was said that he one time said, preach the gospel, and if necessary, use words. They don't really know if he said that, but it really gets at the heart of what this is, that yes, words are important, and I know I've even done a devotional on the importance of words, but to live life sometimes without words, to not fill our lives with words, is so important. To take that time to just silently listen to others and to God. Perhaps being able to shut out the world around us is a part of what we need to do as spiritual beings. Being able to quiet the voices that are within us is something that we've got to do, because it says in Scripture that at times God speaks with a still small voice. And that still small voice needs us to settle ourselves. Now, I've got to give you a little caveat here, because recently, as I was thinking about doing this devotional on kind of silence and not being surrounded by noise and words and everything, we had our grandkids over, and I realized that in the morning with the grandkids, it is hard to find that space of silence, because they get up before we do, and they're ready to start their day, and they're ready to be talking to Papa and Mimi. And I realized that for some of you parents, finding that place of solitude is almost impossible. It really is. It's almost impossible. And then I thought about the fact that others are senior adults, those of you who may live alone. This idea of silence and solitude is just another experience of loneliness. So I recognize that this idea of silence can really affect each of us differently. But that doesn't take out the importance of recognizing that we do need to find this time of solitude in our lives, because listening is what really informs our knowledge and helps us to be knowledgeable and help for human beings. I found this recent kind of definition of silence, or talks about the importance of silence recently, and it says this. It says, silence creates the space for listening for God. It provides time to explore our relationship to the source. The practice of being in this silent nurtures our capacity to listen to others. You see, and that's what it's about. being able to listen to God and listen to others. So even if you're a parent, even if silence is really just more loneliness, beginning to focus on what God is speaking to us in those quiet moments is so vitally important for our own spiritual well-being and for our relationships that we live in. So I hope and I pray you can at least find that place of solitude. Look for it this week. Look for it and see if you might hear the voice of God. Listen closely to your friends. Hear if you might be able to discern what's underneath the words that they're sharing. Because that is a gift that God has given us. And it's a knowledge that comes to us in the midst of not using words.